I reached the observatory at dusk, a low dome, stone warmed by a long day, cables humming under the floor like quiet bees. The sky held its last color. The minute was enough. They call it the window. 7 minutes each evening, only when the two orbital clocks align, when the resonators agree, when gravity sings the old song. I unlocked the western hatch and stepped inside. Smell of dust and copper. A lens like a sleeping eye at the center of the room. Charts on the wall that did not change. The air changed a little. You can feel the field before you hear it. I set my pack down. I wrote the date on a board. Year 2345. Same hand I've had for years. Same slope to the letters. A little slower now. The minute was enough. Mara was already there. She kept the day watch. She knew the dials like sailors know wind. She wore her hair tied back with wire. "You're early," she said. "I wanted the quiet," I said. She nodded. We both looked at the slit in the dome, still closed. It would open when the clocks kissed, not before, not late. Mara checked the coil temperature. I checked the resonator sync. 2 oscillations, out of phase, sliding into place like hands that almost remember how to hold. "Any messages today?" I asked. 3 petitions, she said. 2 refusals, 1 accepted. "Who spoke?" I asked. "An old woman with a river voice," she said. She told her young self to stay by the tree when the storm broke, not to run to the field. She said it without crying. She hung the mic up like it was a cup. "How did it sound?" I asked. "Like a sentence that had been waiting for a life," Mara said. We stood a moment with that. She handed me the log tablet. "Your shift," she said. "I'm going to the East Ridge. The light is good for the throat birds. They sing like glass." "Bring one back," I said. "I'll bring silence," she said, and smiled. She knew my habits. She left through the north door into the gold part of the evening. I was alone with the dome, the lens, and the clocks. There are rules here. We keep them simple on purpose. 1 message, 1 minute, 1 life. No rehearsals through the window, no second tries, no questions asked across. You say what must be said, and you let the world do the rest. We do not call it time travel. The physicists call it a bounded aperture. 2 gravitational resonators synchronize across a known metric. The slit opens between stacked instants. A signal may cross, a body may not. Sound becomes instruction when held inside breath. That is the only trick. That is the only mercy. I checked the clocks again. Close now. A soft beat under the floor. The lens lifted on its gimbal a fraction, like a bird waking. I thought about my 1 minute. I have not used it. People ask me why. I say, I'm still choosing the word that deserves the room. And the room is only 7 minutes wide. And my 1 minute must be a good neighbor. The minute was enough. I stepped to the intercom and spoke the standard line for the evening. "Window keeper on duty," I said. "Alignment in 9 minutes. Petitioners may assemble at the outer rail. The queue is short. The sea is calm." The sea answered with a low breath against the cliff. The window does not need the sea. I do. The first petitioner arrived at the threshold. A young man in a coat a little too large, a face the wind had decided to keep. He held a sealed card with both hands. They shook. "First time?" I asked. He nodded. He looked at the lens, the way people look at a door they are afraid to open because they can't open it again. "You know the rule," I said. "1 minute," he said. "What are you carrying?" I asked, and nodded at the card. "A sentence," he said. "I wrote it so I wouldn't drown before I got here." "Good," I said. "Read it once, then fold it and don't look down. When the chime sounds, step to the mark. When the second chime sounds, you speak. When the third chime sounds, you stop. Don't give the rest away. The rest is for you." He nodded. He read. He folded. He didn't look down again. The lens shivered. The slit brightened from black to something that was not color so much as permission. The first chime sounded. He stepped to the mark. The second chime sounded. He raised the mic. His voice was not brave. It was exact. "Do not follow me to the river," he said. "Go to the bus stop and call my father. He is already on his way. Don't try to carry me. The banks are clay. They will take you." He stopped. He had half his minute left. He said nothing more. He did not try to save every branch. He trusted the trunk. The third chime sounded. He lowered the mic. He stayed on his feet. He cried without noise. He left the room. I marked the log. 1 message, 1 minute, 1 life. I breathed and looked at the slit. The line of sky inside it was sharper than sky should be. The minute was enough. Between petitioners, the window hums. The dome listens to itself. If you sit very still, you can hear the resonators answer each other in a language no one speaks anymore, but everyone understands in bones. Mara returned with empty hands and a quiet face. "The throat birds didn't sing," she said. "They were busy being birds." "That's allowed," I said. She sat on the floor with her back to the wall and watched the light drop in steps. "We keep the lamps low. Brightness is for decisions. Dusk is for the truth." "Have you decided?" she asked after a while. "Not yet," I said. "What does your minute want to say?" she asked. "It wants to save someone who doesn't want to be saved," I said. "The young don't believe you when you say the river is stronger. They have to touch it themselves." "Then don't say save," she said. "Say stay, say stand, say listen." I looked at the slit. I pictured my younger self on a road the color of worry. We both knew the bend where the accident waited like a patient animal. "Maybe," I said. Mara stood and brushed dust from her pants. "Keep the window," she said. "I'll make tea for after." The door clicked. The dome forgot the sound almost at once. It is good at that. A woman in a mechanic's jacket came in next, oil in the lines of her hands, a scar over the left brow that caught the last light and kept it. "Name?" I asked. "Rhea," she said. "Used the window before?" I asked. "No," she said. "I've judged it." "That is not the same." "What changed?" I asked. "The list of what I can forgive," she said. "It got longer. It made room for me." She stood at the mark before the first chime. She did not flinch when the slit grew thin and bright. She held the mic like a tool she already knew how to use. Her minute was simple. "Take the inland road at dusk," she said, "not the cliff road. There will be ice you can't see. You will think you can steer. You can't. Don't test it. Don't be brave." She stopped with 20 seconds left. She looked at me. "Do you want to add anything?" I asked. "No," she said. "A spare word can ruin a clean fix." The chime ended her minute for her. She let it. She hung the mic the way you hang a wrench. She left. I wrote the log. I drank water. I listened for the throat birds and heard wind. The minute was enough. A boy arrived with his guardian. He could have been 12. He looked at the lens, then at the floor, then at the sky through the slit, as if it were a secret he had seen before in a dream. "Are you sure?" the guardian asked him. "I am," he said. "It's only a minute." I met them at the threshold. "We have a protocol for minors," I said. "The words are selected in advance. You may read or he may read. You may stand together. The window will not take more than we give it." The boy shook his head. "I know what to say," he said. "Would you like to practice outside the room?" I asked. "No," he said. "I don't want the wind to hear me before the window does." We stood where marks on the floor tell feet where to belong. The first chime sounded. He did not flinch. The second chime sounded. He spoke to a younger self who was hardly younger at all. "Put the tool down," he said. "Your mother is not your enemy. The quiet on her face is not a trap. Ask for help. The door will still be there tomorrow. You can leave then. You don't have to break it tonight." He stopped. He held his breath until the third chime. He let it out after, like a diver who has learned a better way to swim. The guardian put a hand on the boy's shoulder. They left. They did not look back. I held the mic, then hung it up. I wrote the log, then set the stylus down. I closed my eyes. The minute was enough. Silence has work to do between minutes. It lets the room breathe. It lets the clocks agree on mercy. Mara came back with tea. She set a cup near my hand. Steam rose and told a small story about heat finding air. "Last petitioners," she said, glancing at the outer rail. A pair stood there. 2 men, same eyes, different weather in their faces. Brothers, perhaps. One in a suit that had seen too many offices. One in clothes that had learned salt and time. They took turns with the pen at the sign-in. They walked in without talking. "Who speaks?" I asked. "We both do," said the older one. 2 minutes? Asked the younger. I shook my head. 1 minute, I said. "You may share it. You must choose an order and a boundary." They looked at each other. They chose. The first chime sounded. The older one stepped to the mark, lifted the mic like a fragile cup, and spoke to a version of himself that still believed that staying late at the office would keep a father alive. "Go home," he said. 10 nights in a row. You cannot bargain with a heart that has decided to finish. You can hold a hand instead. He gave the mic to his brother with 10 seconds left. The younger man did not waste them. "Keep the boat," he said. "Don't sell it to make a point. The point will not keep you warm." The chime closed their minute. They stood, breathed, and then laughed once together, the quiet kind. They hugged like men who had done the arithmetic and found a remainder they both could hold. I wrote the log. Mara wiped a fingerprint from the brass wing around the lens. The slit held steady. The minute was enough. An hour into night, the window narrowed. The clocks drifted by a hair. The resonators tired like hands. We keep the last minute for the keepers. The rule is old. The room remembers it. The slit seems to soften at the end, as if the machine approves of caretakers who stand watch for others and then, only then, speak for themselves. Mara touched the edge of the table with her fingers. "You don't have to," she said. "I know," I said. "But I don't want the window to feel unused." She smiled at that. "Machines like manners," she said. The first chime sounded for me. It surprised me, even though I had asked it to. I stepped to the mark. The second chime sounded. I took the mic. "I know you want speed," I said to a boy with my bones. "You think fast is how you win the night. Slow down. 10 heartbeats before the bend. Count them out loud. If you hear the world go thin, do not turn toward the river. Break straight. Let the ditch hold you. Call for help. Someone will come." I stopped. 15 seconds left. I did not use them. I wanted to say "I love you" in 100 languages. I wanted to list days that would be different if we listened. I did not. The third chime took the rest for me. It was a mercy. I hung the mic. I stood very still. Mara was a presence at my shoulder in the exact shape of a friend. "Tea," she said. "Tea," I said. We wrote the log, carefully. Keeper minute used, instruction given, no extra words. The slit thinned, the clocks sighed. The lens lowered itself by a measured breath. Night completed its work. I stepped outside into the real air. The sea was still there. The cliff was still there. I put my hand on stone and found it warm under the new dark. The minute was enough. Second night. Clouds in a thin row, like notes on a slow staff. A wind that promised weather. The window likes a little weather. It is more honest when the world moves. Mara traded me a new logbook, fresh paper, sharper lines. "The last one is full," she said. "Good," I said. "Full books are the polite kind." She checked the coils. I checked the sink. The hum found the same old key and gave it back. The first petitioner wore a suit that had belonged to his father. Threads shiny at the elbows, a pocket square folded with care. "Who do you speak to?" I asked. "My mother," he said. "She is young there. She already knows everything I will learn slowly." He stood at the mark. The chime lifted his chin a little, the way a good conductor lifts a room. "Marry for friendship," he said. "Money is not company. Listen to the girl who laughs when it rains." He stopped. 20 seconds left. He smiled. He did not add a ribbon he would only later have to untie. The chime closed the minute. He folded the mic's cord with respect. He left his pocket square on the rail for the wind. I wrote the log. Mara adjusted a lamp. The slit held steady. The minute was enough. A woman came with a badge from the inland city. A medic, sun worn into her face. Eyes like patient steel. "What does the protocol allow?" she asked. "Instruction, not confession," I said. "Bounded counsel, no names, no diagnostics. You know the law." She nodded. "I know the law," she said. "I want to say a sentence I wish someone had said to me." She stood at the mark, and when the second chime sounded, her voice was the voice that sits beside a bed and stays through beeping, through rain, through the slow arithmetic of loss. "If the body is two homes and one is closing," she said, "you may sit on the porch of the other. You may speak to the person who is still there. It is not betrayal to love the part that remains." She stopped. She hung the mic like an instrument put away after practice. She left her badge in her pocket. No one needed to know. The wind lifted. The sea answered. Mara caught a loose page on the desk with 2 fingers. Her hands were sure. A man in a dark coat came next. He did not sign the book. He held the pen and put it down. "Name?" I asked. He shook his head. He stepped to the mark. He held the mic a long time before the chime. "Protocol," I said, gently. He nodded. When the second chime sounded, he said only this: "Tell the truth to the first person who asks you about the missing money. It will be the easiest moment you ever have, and you will miss it if you blink." He stopped. He put the mic down as if it weighed more than it did. He left by the north door. We did not follow. The window does not change the law. It only changes the order in which we meet it. I wrote the log with care. Mara tightened a clamp that did not need tightening. We shared a look that knew how many lives are made of small bravery. The minute was enough. Between the second and third nights, the observatory received a parcel. No return mark. A small case with a cloth wrapped around a metal object. A key, we thought, to something that had once opened easily and now did not. Mara unwrapped it and smiled at the craft. A counterweight, polished steel. On it, an engraving. A single line and then a circle, like a sundial that admitted it was guessing. "A keeper's toy," she said. "A teaching thing," I said. We set it on the table. We let the room get used to it. Machines like manners. That evening, a petition arrived from Central. A formal request. Attach a recorder to the mic. Archive the words that cross. For research, they wrote. For posterity. Mara set the paper between us. She did not speak for a long time. We both heard the sea. "The window is a confessional without absolution," she said at last. "It works because the words go where they must, not to us, not to a file, to the 1 minute that needs them." "Decline?" I asked. She nodded. I wrote the answer. "No recordings. Protocol holds." I signed my name slow, like a person who has learned to write in weather. We sealed the envelope and let the tide carry it below the cliff to the courier drone with salt still drying on its wings. The minute was enough. Third night. Storm line offshore, lightning like slow stitches, air dense in the doorway. The slit opened with a sound like a thought becoming a word. The hum settled. The first chime waited. The petitioner was very old. She had hands like careful maps. Her hair was a crown of white fog. "Who do you speak to?" I asked. "Myself," she said. "I am greedy. I want to use the window twice." "Protocol allows once," I said. "Then I will put 2 sentences in 1 minute," she said, and smiled like a child. "Choose order," I said. She did. The chime answered. "To the girl with the green shoes," she said, "take the apprenticeship, not the degree. You will learn the work by doing. You will not lose anything by touching it sooner." She breathed. "Second," she said, "to the woman who sits alone on the kitchen floor, it is not your fault that he was not taught to be brave. Let the door stay shut. The wind is kinder than his promises." She stopped. She had 5 seconds left. She looked at me, and the look said peace like a blanket. The chime closed. She hung the mic and winked at the lens, as if to thank it for obeying clocks. I wrote the log. Mara poured water. We listened to thunder count itself down. A courier arrived, soaked, smiling. He handed me a small packet. A note in a hand I knew. My mentor's hand. A keeper before me who had walked out one day and never walked back, leaving the dome to a new pair of feet. The note was short. I used my minute badly. I tried to fix 3 things. Say one thing well, then close the door with your hand and not your heart. I read it twice. I put it in the drawer where the good pencils live. Mara saw my face and didn't ask. Machines like manners. So do friends. The minute was enough. We had one petition that night that the window refused. A man brought a list, names, dates. He wanted to stop a war with a speech. "The window is a door," I said. "It is not a parliament." He argued. He was not wrong about the world. He was wrong about this room. "Give me the mic," he said when the chime sounded. I gave it to him. He held it like a weapon. He began to read. Nothing crossed. The slit stayed awake and empty. "The room has its own ears. It knows what a minute can bear." He stopped after 20 seconds and looked at me as if I had hidden the road. "Instruction," I said softly. "A single life." He closed his eyes. He found a person he loved inside a crowd. He changed the shape of his mouth. "To the boy in the blue coat," he said, "go south at dawn. Your sister will need you. Leave the street when you hear glass." The slit took the words. It did not take the rest. The window is not a machine for miracles. It is a machine for sentences. The minute was enough. 4th night. Fog in the rafters. Dome sweating like a tired horse. The slit opened late, as if waking from a dream in which it did not exist. Mara tuned the coils with 2 fingers. I tuned the hum with breath. The clocks agreed to try again. A woman in a heavy coat stepped in. She carried a box. Inside, a folded letter and a small bell. "Permission to place a thing?" she asked. "On the rail," I said. "Nothing on the lens." She set the bell where a slight draft could find it. She stood at the mark when the chime rang. "Write the letter and leave it under the blue plate," she said. "Don't hand it to him. He will be kind, and you will mistake that for durable love. Let him find the letter when he is ready to read a different life." She stopped. The bell rang once, the kind of ring that sounds like a spoon learning water. She bowed to it, or to the air, or to the second she had made. Mara wiped the rail dry. The fog moved through the room in slow opinions. We agreed to all of them. A child came after, with both parents. They had practiced holding hands. They had learned it recently. My voice was smaller when I told them the protocol. They nodded. They had learned a language for grief and were relieved to use any other language for a while. The child spoke to a younger child. "Put the stones down," they said. "Pick up the shells. Bring them inside. They make better sounds." The chime let the sentence sit. We all looked at one another and felt some part of the world unclench. The minute was enough. Near midnight, Mara touched my sleeve. "Listen," she said. A faint sound under the hum, not the storm, not the coils. A recorded voice on the maintenance loop, old, thin with age. We had not pressed a button. "Keeper's echo," Mara whispered. "The dome is remembering." The voice was my mentor's. I knew it before the words arrived. "If I am late, tell the window I was watching the tide. If I do not come, tell the tide I was watching the window." That was all. The loop clicked. The sound ended. We stood without speaking for many breaths. I took the note from the drawer. I set it by the mic. I wrote a single line in the log. Echo heard. No analysis. No claim. The room knows what to keep. The minute was enough. Fifth night. Clear. Cold. Stars like pins. Wind with a knife in it, and also a bandage. The slit was precise. The chimes were punctual. The floor hummed in a key that tasted like iron. The first petitioner waited with a cane. He wore a hat with salt on it. He had the quiet that used to make me think of pride, and now makes me think of patience. "Who do you speak to?" I asked. "Myself," he said. "The one who takes the wide trail around the argument and never enters." "Instruction?" I asked. He nodded. He did not open a card. The sentence was written on his face. "When she asks you if you are angry," he said into the minute, "say yes. Say it as if it is weather. Put on a coat together. Walk in it." He hung the mic and tipped his hat to no one in particular. He left warmer. A woman with a camera came in next. Freelance, city shoes, eyes that swallowed light and asked for more. "Are you here to report?" I asked. "I'm here to stop," she said. "Tomorrow I will try to report, and you will say no, and I will understand." "Instruction?" I asked. "To myself," she said, and stepped to the mark. "When the editor says the story is missing teeth," she said, "do not offer yours. Keep your bite. Keep your smile. Keep the way you drink tea. The world will still want you when it is done wanting your blood." She stopped. She lowered the mic. She thanked the room with a nod so slight it might have been a breath. The minute was enough. A courier drone thumped the hatch. We opened it to find a parcel with central seal again. We looked at each other. Mara cut it with a key made from a broken chime. It was an apology. Protocol affirmed. No recordings. The window would remain itself. We signed the receipt, both of us, with hands that shook a little less than usual. The sea made a sound like relief. The minute was enough. Sixth night. A warm front. Clouds low, like the sky had decided to sit with us. Mara brewed tea before the slit opened. We let it cool. We liked the smell more than the burn. The petitioner was the kitesmith's daughter. She had string on her wrists and a coil of hair that made its own weather. "Who do you speak to?" I asked. "My brother," she said softly. "He is young there. He has a knife for problems. I want to give him a rope." She stepped to the mark. Her voice was a steady line. "Count the crows," she said. If there are more than 5, you do not need to prove you are loud. Tie the kite to the rail and let it pull the storm before you follow." She stopped. She smiled at the slit, like someone who has learned a language that is also a tool. A man in a uniform came next. He smelled like engine grease and discipline. "Instruction?" I asked. "Permission," he said. "Not the windows to give," I said. He nodded as if he had expected that and came anyway. He stepped to the mark. He spoke to a boy in a mirror he carried everywhere and had never once seen. "You may cry in uniform," he said. "The salt is already there." He stopped. He turned away so the room would not mistake him for a statue. He left lighter. The minute was enough. Near closing, the door opened a hand's width and a figure stood in the gap. Not a petitioner, a visitor, a man with a face I almost knew. He held his hat in both hands and did not enter. "Does the window ever speak back?" he asked. "Not in words," I said. "In weather, in timing, in the way the slit opens like a promise kept very carefully." He nodded. "My wife used her minute here," he said. "She told herself to sleep. She slept. She lived." "I've been angry at the room for being so simple." "I understand," I said. He looked at the lens like a man considering a mountain. "I brought a sentence anyway," he said. He did not ask for a minute. He did not step to the mark. He set the sentence on the rail like an offering, loose enough to be true. "I forgive you for the ease," he said to the air. "I wanted thunder. I will take a pillow." He left. The wind lifted the paper and laid it down again. We did not pick it up. The room is good at keeping what is light. The minute was enough. 7th night. Clear again. The storm had had its say. The slit woke like a cat. The coils purred. Mara set the counterweight on the table and touched it twice for luck. "Who is first?" I asked the sea. It brought us a girl with a backpack and a map that had learned her hands. "Instruction?" I asked. "To the one who cannot decide," she said, and smiled at her own mouth. She stepped to the mark and spoke as if choosing were a kind of music. "Pick one path before lunch," she said. "Even if it is the wrong one, you can change your mind after you learn the road's voice. Standing still is not research." She stopped. She laughed once, a sound like a tent waking up. She left a tiny compass on the rail for whomever the room wanted next. A quiet man came after. He carried nothing. He stood with a posture that told me he carried everything. "Name?" I asked. He shook his head. "Instruction?" I asked. He lifted the mic with both hands, like someone handing a cup to a person he loved at dawn. "Take the picture," he said. "Even if the light is wrong, you will not be given that face again." He stopped. He looked at Mara. Mara looked at the lens. We all learned something simple. The minute was enough. Before closing, a last petitioner came with a letter sealed in wax. She did not open it. "Do you want to read from that?" I asked. "No," she said. "I want to hold it while I say something else." She stood at the mark. The chime gave her a frame. "When the doctor says the numbers are worse," she said, "ask what they mean for walking. Ask what they mean for soup. Ask what they mean for one good day. Let the big words wait in the hall." She stopped. She pressed the letter to her chest and then put it back in her pocket. She left without looking at the slit again. And I stood beside the lens and thanked the room for letting me keep such simple company. The minute was enough. Final night, for now. Dawn waited just off stage. The clocks stretched. The coils settled to the lowest useful hum. We keep the last night for the room. No petitioners. We clean. We check. We sit. Mara put the counterweight back in its cloth. She wrote a line on the wallboard. Machines like manners. We both laughed softly. "Will you stay?" she asked. "For another season," I said. "Maybe longer. The window knows my footsteps now." "It would be rude to teach it a new pair of shoes so soon." "Good," she said. "I like tea with the same hands in the same cups." We opened the slit one last time, not to send, but to listen. The hum was gentle. The sky inside the cut looked like a kept promise. I thought about the mentor who had left the echo. I set his note on the table and read it again. "Say one thing well, then close the door with your hand and not your heart." Mara set a cup by my hand. We stood at the mark together, not to speak, but to learn the shape of quiet as if it were a person we wanted to introduce to a friend. And then, because the rule allows, because keepers may have 1 minute when the week is done, Mara lifted the mic. She spoke not to her younger self, but to me, the present one. "When the night feels thin and the wind tries to think for you," she said, "count the screws on the panel. Count the breaths between chimes. I will be here before you reach 10. She stopped. The window kept the rest. It likes to keep the right amount. We closed the slit by hand. We signed the log. We hung the mic. We turned the lamps to a glow that remembered us without asking for more. Outside, the cliff did its old work. The sea signed its long sentence in foam. The sky drew a thin line where the sun would be. I set my palm on stone one last time before sleep. It was warm from all the hands that had done the same work. The minute was enough. You've been aboard the window between lifetimes on Stardust Mysteries. New worlds every day. Tap subscribe on the right. Start the next story on the left. Good night, traveler.